Permission. It's maybe the most elusive thing for us as writers. We constantly feel like imposters, I find. Like we've walked into someone else's house and we're sneaking around trying on their clothes, like Goldilocks. Although I don't think Goldilocks actually tries on their clothes, but you get the idea. It wasn't until I finally felt permission to write fiction that I did. And I went on to write and publish 3 novels. So how did I get there? How did I give myself permission? Well, in this video, I'm gonna share the story with you. Let's go. Okay, first quick background. In college, I took 1 creative writing class. One. It was my freshman year. I didn't take any more because it was a terrible experience. The professor, a fiction writer who had published a couple of books and seemed like a lovely woman, she had a charming southern drawl, ran the class as a workshop. We peers gave each other feedback on our writing, which is of course how 99% of writing classes are run, not the ones I run. But also she gave grades on our stories, right? I mean, it was college, and in college you get grades. And I got B minuses, not B's and not 1 B minus. I got multiple B minuses on multiple stories. Now, I was the kind of student, maybe you can relate, who was obsessed with getting good grades. I did not get B minuses. So I flipped out and did the only thing I knew to do. I read her published stories and tried to write like her. I wrote sparingly and obliquely with very little internal thoughts of the characters or feelings. Basically, show, don't tell, but on overdrive. And guess what? It worked. I got an A on my last story for the class, which she generously translated into an A in the course, sparing my GPA and my GPA-obsessed ego. But this was not a success story because I had also learned a couple of lessons that would prevent me from writing fiction for the next 10 years. 1, I'd learned that my fiction writing instincts were a solid B minus. 2, I'd learned that if I wanted to write A-level fiction, I had to write like someone else. 3, that A-level fiction meant dismissing my personal inclination. And 4, that therefore I should probably just stay away from fiction altogether. And so that's what I did. I didn't write fiction again until many years later. And that was when a literary agent to whom I had pitched a memoir idea wrote me an email that said, "I can't sell this memoir, but do you have a novel?" I actually did have a novel idea, one that I hadn't told anybody about because, again, I still didn't think I could write a novel. I didn't think I could write fiction at all. I didn't even think I could write a short story. That's partly why I had written a memoir proposal that I was pitching. But when this literary agent said that, it gave me the slightest sliver of permission, at least to describe the novel idea to him. So that's what I did. I wrote a short paragraph describing my novel premise, the idea I had in mind that I hadn't told anyone about. And I told him my working title, which was My Life's First Draft. This guy wrote back immediately saying, "Sounds interesting," and he likes the title a lot. "Write it," he said, "and then send it to me." So a literary agent had just told me to write a novel and to send it to him when I finished. This effectively gave me permission for the first time in a decade to try writing fiction again. And that's why I did. Now, I want to unpack for you what I took from this experience and what I still take from this experience. But first, quick invitation. I want to invite you to my free private group for writers working on books, where once a month I host a live event where I plan out the first third of a new novel from scratch. It's super fun. It's like improv meets novel writing. And you can join this event, 30,000 words in 30 minutes, watch Mary plan the first third of a novel from scratch at the link below this video. Okay, back to the video. So what's the takeaway from this experience? I mean, I think the takeaway is that sometimes we need someone else to give us permission. And I want to do that for you today in this video because this is what I do for people now. I give people permission to write what they're dreaming of writing. So I want to tell you that, go write the thing that you're dying to write. But what if it's not good? You probably are thinking or might be thinking. And if you are thinking that, I have an exercise for you. A little context to set up this exercise. So far, I've written and published 3 novels. Each of these novels takes place over about 6 months. And this is pretty coincidental. I didn't set out to always write stories that take place across 6 months. It's just what I gravitate toward. And one day, after all my novels were published, I noticed this. So I share this to say I was recently having a conversation with my literary agent where she said, hey, what if in your next novel you try something more sweeping? Like what if you write kind of an epic novel that's multi-generational, that covers decades? Was my reaction. I actually love reading enormous novels. They're some of my favorite novels to read. I mean, I find them incredibly satisfying, but I had actually never dreamt of writing one because, well, frankly, I think this is where my permission for myself ended. Like that literary agent had given me permission to write fiction, but I never dreamed of myself as being capable of writing something that sweeping. When I mentioned this to my husband, he thought about it for a moment and then he said, well, what if someone asked you to ghostwrite one? Do you think you could do it then? And this kind of blew my mind because the answer was yes, I actually did. If I were hired to ghostwrite it, I think I could do it. That's my first thought is I think I probably could do it then. See, he said, so you can do it, which is really interesting because it means that when I am associating my name with it, I don't feel capable. But when I remove my name from the equation, I do feel capable. And what is that about? I wondered if I was the only one. So incidentally, at the next live group meeting in the writing program I run, when a writer was facing a similar quandary, she had an idea for a book, but she didn't believe she was capable of writing it. I tried this thing that he had asked me. I said, if I hired you to ghostwrite that book or a book like it for me, could you do it? And her face did the same thing mine had. It was like confusion shifting into disbelief and recognition. Whoa, she was like, yeah, I actually think I could. So that's really interesting, right? And I think it's worth asking yourself, what could you do if no one would know that you had done it? Because asking yourself this question might open up some real possibilities for you. You may discover the true range of your capabilities, or at least the true range of your belief in them, which is really all we can know and what matters most. Either way, I'm guessing that if you're still watching, you have an idea for a novel. You know, you may not talk about it. You know, maybe like me, you went a long time without telling anyone, but there's a novel in you waiting to be written. And so I will end with this. You can do this. It's time. And you'll only know it once you do it, once you try. Now, if you really are ready to start writing your book, I have something else for you. A few years ago, I created the 4 notebooks method, which is my process for handwriting a novel across 4 notebooks. This is my strategy to map out your story structure in a way that doesn't lock you into an outline or suck all the fun out of the writing process. If you'd like to learn that method and get a free digital template for writing your novel, go to the link below this video. Because to get the template, you just have to apply for my program, The Book Incubator. It's only 2 questions to apply. It'll take you under 5 minutes. And you'll get the template right away, whether you want to join or not. There's no pressure to enroll. So just click below to tell me a little bit about you and your book idea. I'm excited to hear from you.